Let's take a look at our winter storm that's unfolded over the last 72 hours. What we're looking at here is the latest snowfall reports from this morning from the National Weather Service. Here is the legend up above my head, and you can see that bullseye there in red. In Lander, Wyoming was 28 inches of snowfall, folks. And even Salt Lake City saw around 8 inches. They picked up a couple inches down there in Flagstaff, as well as in a good part of Santa Fe. And then once you actually swung over in Nebraska, they also picked up some areas 8 inches of snow. Then we had that swath that went through the Texas Panhandle that dropped a couple of inches. And then the bullseye yesterday over Wichita unloaded 8 to 10 inches of snowfall. And that snow just continued to shift into the Kansas City region, up here into Des Moines, and then it started snowing overnight in portions of Illinois and into this morning in places like around the Chicago region, getting into Wisconsin with some of that snowfall. So here's where the snow is right now this morning for your Sunday morning. Yes, it's coming out of the Kansas City region and it's entering portions of Springfield back into Bloomington, almost into the Indianapolis region. I think you do get into that snow later on this afternoon. That snow is still impacting a good part of Davenport into Chicago, all the way up here into Grand Rapids, as well as back here into Madison. More or less, Minnesota has kind of missed out on this deal. They are getting a few bands of getting, back into St. Cloud and into the Duluth region. But overall, Minnesota has kind of missed out on this snow activity. Here's the temperatures, because we do have a cold aspect to this storm because we had an Arctic blast that came in on the backside. If that front has moved through your area, yeah, you're definitely feeling it this morning. These are your wind chills. Yeah, 17 below up there in Wyoming, even some, below zero, feels like temperatures in there into portions of Colorado. But yeah, even some single digits coming in at the Texas Panhandle there. But yeah, that colder air will continue to plunge southbound and shift eastward into the coming days. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel, and I would love to reach 225,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel and following all my daily content. And plus, I have a weather app, so you can download on your phone. You can actually find it in both the Apple Store as well as into the Google Play Store. So let's talk about where we stand with this Arctic blast and this winter storm that's still unfolding. We've got another surge of colder air that's going to be coming in out of Canada, and that's going to be a northwest flow, and that's actually going to be picking up some heavy lake effect snow across these portions off into the Great Lakes region, while that colder air continues to plunge southbound and shift eastward over the next couple of days. So here's the snow as we head into this afternoon. Yeah, like I mentioned, it will be coming out of Illinois and then shifting back into Indianapolis. Those Indianapolis region will start to see some of that light to moderate snow at times back into the Fort Wayne region, and that will shift over into Lansing. But as it shifts into portions of Ohio, we're running into time of day issues. This is already about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and of course you're going into the heat of the afternoon, and it's going to be kind of fizzling out by then. It's just going to be more or less all rain. So unfortunately, places like into Ohio miss out on the snow from this particular system as it starts to kind of wind down, as it continues to shift northward into upper parts of Michigan, as well as back into the upper parts of the Great Lakes region as we get into tonight time frame. And as we wake up tomorrow, these are your actual temperatures going into your Monday morning, and everybody's going to be feeling that front in a big way all the way down into the deep south. Look at the graph here, all the areas in blue, that is your freezing line. Some of these areas have not actually seen a freeze, those that have missed out on the Halloween type freeze. Some more areas will actually get a freeze with this particular Arctic blast that will be impacting these areas over the coming days. And here's the setup going into that lake effect snow. So with the northwest flow, it's got all these warm waters, these warm lake waters to go over, and it's just a perfect alignment with these winds. So we do actually have some heavy lake effect snow warnings in place for these places, like into Cleveland, back into Erie, Pennsylvania, up here into portions of Buffalo, just north of Syracuse. Yeah, we could be looking at 10 to 18 inches of snow, mainly starting tonight, but going into the day tomorrow, on top of the 35-mile-per-hour wind. So if you live right along those lakes, you're going to get cranked with heavy snow over the next day and a half time frame. So let's look at the lake effect snow. So here's the overall setup on the surface map as we head into tomorrow afternoon. You can see for the most part, as behind that front, it pretty clears out for a good part of the country. So you're left on the colder side. Where you're going to still get the snow is really elongated around these lake regions, where they do have those lake effect snow warnings in place across these regions, as that low pressure center will continue to lift out, impacting mainly portions of Ontario back into Quebec and eastern Canada there. But heading into Tuesday, that's when that colder air starts to shift and further off into the east. So it does sink south, and then it will shift eastward. So now most of the entire state's almost below freezing up back here into Mississippi and to portions of Alabama, but mainly the northeast states. Yeah, you're still widespread 20s and even some teens and some single digits up there in Minnesota, as that colder air will continue to plunge southbound and shift eastward. So as it does, it's still going to be enhanced with that northwest flow, heading into that Tuesday timeframe, Tuesday afternoon timeframe. With the northwest flow continue to take effect, you'll still have that lake effect snow machine continue to unfold across these regions. But notice far south, that's some rain coming back in the picture. That's already an indication where the winds are going to be starting to turn around to the south. South wind is a warm wind, and that's going to start increasing the dew points down there in that region and start to set the stage of a warm up that will be taking place beginning by the middle of next week. So as we go into the middle of next week, I think this is your final coldest day, if you will, as temperatures will already start to moderate as they head into Texas. But since that second plunge is eastward, that's you're going to be coldest night, it's coldest morning heading into your Wednesday morning, with pretty much the entire state of Georgia below freezing by then. So yeah, that is definitely a November chill for sure. And those widespread 20s for almost the entire state of South Carolina and North Carolina. So that is definitely some colder stuff back into Virginia, widespread 20s in West Virginia, up through Pennsylvania, all the way up here into the Northeast, as well as into New England. So definitely all those areas in blue there, a good 70-80% of the country there will actually see a freeze by the time we head into that Wednesday morning time frame. But as we do, that's kind of like that transition day, if you will. So we're going to have that south wind start to crank up there coming out of Mexico and lifting those temperatures back into the central southern plains there into Texas. At the same time, we'll be watching a pretty significant trough that's going to be building in out west. So we're going to have some higher winds going to be impacting, with a pretty good vorticity that's going to be taking place across California, especially in central and southern California, as rains come back in the picture. So as the temperatures start to creep up, we'll be watching this significant lift mechanism coming in from the west. That will add more snow for these places into Flagstaff, back into Santa Fe. But once it actually gets into Texas, by the time we head into the Thursday timeframe, we're tapping into some elevated dew points again. So this is how quickly the atmosphere can really change in a big way. So the time Thursday rolls around, yeah, we'll have to concerned about severe storms back again, because the cold air will be modified, and we'll be looking at mid-60 dew points down there in South Texas, especially in East Texas. So, and then we have the lift mechanism that's coming in out west. That's going to set the stage for potential strong to severe storms. This is the kind of a classic El Nino type setup. Remember, we are in an El Nino year, so we're going to be looking at this subtropical southern branch of the jet stream continue to get more active as we get back into the winter months. So yeah, this is kind of a classic setup where these troughs dig down and they'll be traversing across this corridor, lifting some elevated rains, snow in the higher elevations. And then yes, we'll have to be concerned about some severe storms as we head into that Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening time frame. So the way it looks right now, the main instability, we'll be watching timing on this, but it looks to be east of the I-35 corridor. So if you live east of Dallas, for say, you're in the prime target to possibly see some larger hail and some damaging winds, and that will shift into Louisiana as we get deeper into the Thursday night, heading into that Friday time frame. And that's where the heavier rains will be starting to take shape as well. So that's going to be your favored lift. You have the higher dew points, so mainly those areas once you head into that Friday time frame of Saturday of next weekend. Yes, East Texas, Louisiana, back into Arkansas, up here into Tennessee, through Mississippi, back into Alabama, parts of Georgia. This is kind of the favored bullseye, if you will, of heavier rain, but we also are going to be having to deal with strong to possibly severe storms by then. If you take a look at some of the longer range guidance and look at some of the parameters about 5 days out, I think this is probably shifted a little bit west, and I think what's actually going to be playing out. But yes, this is likely the favorite area, probably in eastern Oklahoma, East Texas, and that shifts into Arkansas and shifts into Louisiana. This would be that Thursday night, overnight type setup for that time frame. And then as we head into Friday, it likely will get more unstable heading into that Dixie Alley region. So we'll have to be concerned about this. Could be an elevated day for severe storms heading into your Friday, going into that December timeframe. By then, we won't be having any cold air to talk about. We'll be having a lot of warmer air coming back in these elevated dew points. So you're going to feel the mugginess outside across these regions in Mississippi, back into Alabama again, into Georgia, where you basically have a widespread freeze on Wednesday. By Friday, it's going to be completely the opposite. So it rapidly changes in a big way. But let's look at the snowfall totals of the next 7 days. So this is what's unfolded. Most of this happened into the overnight through right now, and then some of those areas will be adding to that snowfall totals, mainly lake effect once it gets up into portions of Michigan and to Wisconsin. Some of these lake effect snow bands could easily pick up double digits of snow right there into Cleveland, Erie, north of Syracuse there, up here into Vermont, New Hampshire, back into Maine. And then as that trough will come in by Wednesday, it'll have its own cold core associated with it too. So that'll add to some heavier snows, especially in the higher elevations on that Wednesday, Thursday timeframe heading into next week around the Four Corners regions. And then here's the rain that will unfold over the next 7 days. So likely this moves out, clears out for the couple days, but as the second system moves through on Wednesday, most of this will be in the form of snow. But once this gets into that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday timeframe of next week, yeah, we'll be looking at some heavier rains, especially elongated across east of the I-35 corridor, heading into eastern Oklahoma, back into Louisiana, especially into Arkansas, into Mississippi, much of the southeast, and that favored bullseye of the heavier rainfall. And then as these low pressure centers will come up the coast, these will skirt the coastal regions, bring in some heavier rains across Rhode Island, back into the Nantucket region, and southern portions of Maine will be all rain, and the northern portions of Maine will likely be all snow. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.